Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining. This is session 5BI of the November GSE UK conference. This is all about Ansible for SysProgs with Bill Pereira from Cognizant. Just before I hand over to Bill, just don't forget, these are the charities we're representing this year, RNLI and Guide Dogs for the Blind, both really worthy charities. So please dig deep and donate as much as you can. And with that, Bill, over to you.
Thanks, Joe. So, hello to all. So let me just present myself before I get started. So if you don't know, who am I? So I'm Bill, and I'm a father and a husband. So I've been working with mainframe for I don't know for 10 years, and yeah, it's just a bit of time compared with a lot of the community, but together with the passion with the mainframe, I've been also passionate by like the DevOps things, the automation things. And during this time in my career, I have been living. I'm from Brazil, and I have been living also in Poland. So I lived there for 2 years. And here in the bottom is just one of the pictures that I took there, and I don't know if someone here have watched The Witcher. So this is the place where the last battle happens on the series in the Netflix. And another curiosity, I'm now living in Netherlands, in Utrecht. And yeah, I have started this conference in Brazil, and in the middle I just moved to Netherlands to live here. And I think I read someone had the experience that if you have some demos, some live to do not update your operating system machine. I just have updated everything. So the live, the country, but here I am. I have started the conference in Brazil, and today I'm closing here in Netherlands. So let's get it started. And just to give a bit a brief introduction about what we are going to see here. So the idea of the session is mainly to get started understanding some aspects about modernization, and that's why and this is because we want to see where the Ansible fits, and this is my point of view, where's the best place to get started with Ansible. Because I have seen some meetings in the community that there are a lot of new products coming on nowadays for the mainframe, for the IBM Z, and people get a bit confused of where should I use Zoe, why should I learn ZOSMF, Ansible. So here I'm just giving a bit introduction about some aspects of modernization, so some of where we can start using Ansible, so we can understand what is Ansible, and a bit of the architecture, how we can map our playbooks, the tasks that we are going to see, what is that. I will do just a brief demo here, so just for us to feel that, so we can see how we can get started, what we need, and I will add some references for you. So as you can imagine, I'm just in a new laptop, and I had to get started with everything. So I think that's a good experience to give some hints for who wants just to get started and try this, how you can start. So some aspects of modernization, and when I'm talking about modernization here, I'm thinking not on because I was in a presentation yesterday and I saw people talking about moving data from mainframe to cloud, and no, all the aspects I'm talking here, we are not talking about moving something out, but exploiting the tools that we have outside and bringing to use in the mainframe environment. So we are adding more to this powerful environment we already have. And there are different aspects when we are talking about it. So I have here one of the aspects could be when we think about the new interfaces. So we don't want to get started when people the new to Z. They start on the mainframe. They have to learn a lot about the architecture because we don't see that frequently teached on universities, and it's a whole new world for them. So sometimes if we have a user-friendly interface like Zoe is bringing to the mainframe world, that facilitates for them. They can get started focusing and learn the platform and not having to worry too much with the tools they are going to use. So one of the aspects that have here is this. So this is when we are talking about this user experience. We also can talk about modernization, thinking about exploiting new languages and not. For example, today we see that Python is very popular in the IT world. JavaScript with Node.js in the server. There are a lot of new languages, and they are available also to be used on ZOS. Go, for example, and there are also another aspects, not on user experience or on the programming language, but thinking about the DevOps. DevOps is something that's been uh, really a buzzword, and a lot of people has been talking about that on development. But that's not also the only part that we can use. We can think about a DevOps practice when we are talking about automation, about taking a bit of this experience that development world have, testing, coding, and bringing that together with the operation, focusing on the operation side. So, for example, and this is what we're going to see a bit here, uh, is when we can talk and have the characteristics of our systems coded. So let's say like that. So infrastructure as a code, um, and let's think a bit more about that. So when we are thinking automating tasks, so let's imagine, and if you were a SysProg, that's something that's quietly common. I've been facing situations like that several times in my last assignment, where I had to install a product, and when I was installing that, there were several steps that I had to follow. I took that from the manual, from this product manual, and for example, I have to create some data sets, allocate some files, some area on the Unix side, execute some jobs, and execute some command, issue some commands, and most of that, sometimes before this change goes into production, I have to execute that in one par and during the evening hour. So usually at weekends during the evening. So okay, it's just one. That's fine. You go there and execute that. But when you start to think in this enterprise environments, we have a lot more environments to apply these changes, and that increases the risks that we have for human error. We get tired, so there are this kind of things. So it's easier if we can take these tasks. We already have mapped what we need to do, right? So take that, and uh, we can automate that, so it will decrease a lot of that. So, and here comes Ansible. So Ansible is it's an open source, so it's really widely used on other cloud environments. When we think about network management, code management, infrastructure management, so it's really something that's cross-platform. If you can SSH into a device or something, you probably can manage that with Ansible. So let's see what is Ansible and how it works. So when we are thinking about the architecture of Ansible, we can see we have this engine that's located in one place, and there we're gonna have the inventory. So it's like it likes to map all the assets that we have here. So look at the right. We could have on our inventory an LPAR. We can have also in this environment, web servers, the information for Apache, for or EC2 machines on AWS, or for networks, for any device that you can SSH into. So the inventory keeps that information. Also, with the Ansible engine, we can also work with APIs, and there are the modules that we are going to see some here, and plugins. So they facilitate some of these activities for us. So, for example, we are going to see that when we are working with Ansible, usually we don't need to worry too much with programming languages, develop all the logic to get into this hostess. So there are also already these modules that we can add for us, install, and just get started using them. So, uh, what do we need to get using the Ansible? So we can just through our command line issue a command using Ansible. We start the tasks through the command line. We can take all these steps and put them, organize them in tasks, and have them in a play, what we call a playbook. So this is probably the most useful that we have here, because imagine what I have mentioned in the slide before. We When we are installing a product, keeping doing some change, these this have numerous tasks, so we can map them and have just like a receipt. And there are more on this ecosystems, on this architecture. For example, we can have that together with a CMDB environment, with a web. We're gonna see that there is also a web interface. We could be uh, have this engine on our instance in the cloud, where we can have a component where we can schedule this tasks to run. So there are other opportunities here after we get started. So we saw that we have the modules on the playbook, and uh, these playbooks, they are the receipt for what we are going to do. So usually when I was doing, for example, a maintenance on Omega, usually I get started developing everything that I want to execute, having like a reading the instructions, the order that I want to use. So here we have this file, that's the format is YML, so it's convention where we indent the things to organize what pertains to what. So I'm not focusing on explain all the rules of YML, but basically this is organized like this. So you have an item, usually this is the key, and you have some attribute for that. So let's take a look here. This is These are the modules when we are talking with Ansible. And for example, here we have the module ZOS dataset. And so when I have this task inside of my playbook, it's calling this module. I can see the arguments that this module needs here. So the name, type, state, the arguments that I'm passing to here. So for example, for this ZOS dataset, I have a name. I'm informing that the type of that sequential, and the state present. And what means that? For let's think, if you have created a script that needs to go and create a data set. If that data set exists, you are going to have an error. Here, when we pass this state, you don't need to worry about it programmatically. So the module is already handling that for you. So in this case, I'm saying if it's present, okay, perfect. I need to create if it doesn't exist. If it's already there, that's fine for me. And we have the description of these tasks. So this allows me to uh, when we create this playbooks, when we are working with these modules, that makes really easy to read them. And so this is another advantage of this approach of infrastructure as a code. A part of the that we are decreasing the opportunities for risks, the risks here for human error or something like that. We are also creating a documentation of this structure, this infrastructure. Okay, this is the tasks that we are going to have. So where our modules are coming, and for example, here we have the same module. Through the state, we could create or delete this data set. But expanding a bit more, we need to know, okay, we have these tasks that needs to be executed, but what is the user that's being used? Where is it supposed to run? So when we are expanding this, we have some other information. And for example, thinking about the user, that can be something that you pass interactively when you are doing that, or that can be something that you have created just for that. So on user, it could be your user ID. You could have a machine user ID, something like that. And we have this hosts information that will basically handle the aspects of where this needs to run. So remember, when we were thinking about the architecture of Ansible, we have our inventory. So inside of the inventory, they are organized that we can have these groups and all the IP information for those groups. We can expand more on that. So in this case, we are saying that we are running on the ZOS host. We could have inside of inventory Docker containers, EC2 instances on the cloud, uh, a device on IoT device, something like that. Okay. Uh, Also, when we start working with multiple environments, would be useful if imagine you have your development environment, you have your production environment. Sometimes the high level qualifiers are different. Sometimes you have different user IDs for that. So it's possible also for us to group information for each system, so that makes that allows us to escalate much more when we are doing that, this automation, deploying this product across our environment, doing the update on a param lib or something like that. So here we can see that we have uh, these attribute vars with this is the high level qualifier, and I'm using this here on the dataset names. So here I just use it as MDS. But also there is also this environment vars here. That's another variable that I'm bringing to this playbook, and it's in an external file. So we're going to see that we can also have the variables inside of the playbook, or it can be organized in a different structure. So just as an example. And Joe, now I don't know if it's possible. I have here another example, and I would like to see if someone on the that's attending the session, because the idea here is to show how simple could be for someone that's just the first time looking to your playbook, that they can read through the YML file and see what's doing this playbook's doing. So if we have someone attending this session and would like to try to talk what we have here on this playbook, what are the actions that are being executed.
I'll let everyone be able to unmute themselves. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, any volunteers, they can go ahead and unmute themselves and go for it.
Someone? I think everyone is already willing to go to after party for the conference. Okay, so if we don't have volunteers, so let me try to go to this playbook. So the idea here was to try to see what we have been talking about the playbook when we put the things together. and show that it can be simple for someone that's just learning. I hope I hope it is simple. Just for me that it's easy, but because it's like a human readable, right? So for example, uh, let's start here. So this playbooks, it's executing on this US production. So the actions of the hosts that I'm choosing for execute that this US production. I'm using this US core collection. I have some variables, some mag, and I think the most important are the tasks. So I'm creating a data set for product work area. I have here the name of this data set, the type, the state. So there's attributes for that. Then I'm submitting some jobs that I have to update load modules. And here you can see then the source where this job is located. So it's located in a data set, and I want to wait 30 seconds after this. So this is I want to wait the execution of this job, and at the end I'm adding this load library to an APF. So here I have the ZOS APF modules passing this two attributes, what's the data set and what's the volume that's being added. Here is just we are talking about basic examples, but it's just to demonstrate uh, how simple can be for anyone to get started. But let me try to do some. I have prepared here some demos. Uh, just taking what we have seen on the slides and putting them in use. So first of all, just for you to know where am I right now, I'm using the VS Code here with an extension for working with an SSH connection, and that's because I'm using Windows. So when you are going to use Ansible, Ansible basically you need to have Python on your machine, and even that it can control all kind of hosts where you can SSH. For example, you can control Windows, you can control Linux, Mac OS. Basically the node that's controlling that, it needs to be Linux or a Mac. And as I don't have that, I'm using an instance on EC2 instance with Ubuntu, and from there we are going to test some playbooks here. um, and I don't have an LPAR anymore. And if you would like to try that, you can also use the same approach I did here for this demo. So I have registered myself on the Z Explorer to get access. So Z Explorer is the newest edition of Master the Mainframe. So I'm registered there, and I'm using the normal user ID that everyone will take when registered there. So here on this instance, I have created a folder to concentrate everything that I want, and I have created a space, a directory here to keep my hosts. So remember, I said that we can have different hosts, and uh, so here I have put the group of development, the production. You could have, for example, one for web servers. I'm just so just to demonstrate, one from web servers, and this doesn't necessarily need to have just one IP or an address. It can be multiple, right? So here I have with prod and dev, just for demonstrate here. And the second address, it doesn't work. It's just to simplify on the demo. But this is the IP. This dev one is the IP from the Z Explore LPAR. I have this Ansible config file that I just took from some reference here. So, but the most important thing that I'm using here is this inventory. So I want to point where the Ansible will find the inventory, so it's on this folder. I also have created this folder called group files, and here I have my dev.yml where I put what's the Ansible port, some configuration stuff, my user password, and there is also this other variable I just created with type env name. So this should differentiate by dev and prod when I'm running the playbooks. And the name of the YML file here, it's associated with the groups I have here. So all the dev hosts I have here will be using the dev, all the prod will be using the prod YML. Okay, so how do I run this? So I have here, just to get started, the first playbook, the ping YML, and I'm gonna use this to ping the server and just check if everything is working. So see here, I'm saying that I want to execute this just for dev. I could be using this with all with prod. So and so let's get it started here. Ansible playbook, and I will use the ping YML. So I'm calling this from the command line, and this just started executing the play. So we see here the dev is the host that is being choosing. Then it starts to collect some data and execute, and we see here the pinging host, and that's okay, executed fine. uh just for us to see here one thing that's important. What do I have on this Linux machine to execute that? So I have installed the first thing I did when I created this machine. I have checked if I did have the Python installed. So I have it. If you don't, you can use this whatever is the tutor that depends of the version of Linux you have. But for example, here I use it the apt-get to get Python installed. Other thing that you need to worry about on this playbook, it's just the basic Ansible. So with the apt-get install Ansible, you can get it started. But when we need to use the let me create the SN, when we need to use the ZOS core, the module, so that doesn't come when you do the apt-get install Ansible. So you have to install these modules. All of that is on the I have all those links in the slides, but all the installation commands you can find on the official documentation. So when you are installing, you are going to use the Ansible Galaxy collection. So basically, we're gonna see that the Galaxy is the community where we can everyone can contribute, creating modules and sharing that with the community. Here we are working with certified content, so that was already verified and has the support, so everything. But on the Galaxy, you can also find a lot of modules that the communities build. Okay, and how another thing that I think is important for SysProgs. So other thing I had to see was if the output that I did had, if I was able to SSH into that. So let me take the IP address here and just so Z0SS1. So it's one requirement because one of the advantages of Ansible is that it doesn't need to have an agent installed on the host that it's gonna manage. It just needs to be in one place, and then everything is executed like a script. I don't remember if I okay. I didn't type all the password. Now I mean. So the host where we're going to execute the next modules. A part of being accessible by SSH, one of the things that I would recommend you to try is verify if Python is installed. So here on the Z Explorer we have Python. I'm using in fact the Python 3 interpreter. So it's here the 3.9. Also, a lot of the functions of these modules they use the Zo utilities. So Zo, version. Oh, Zo- I don't remember the code, but um, you need to verify if Zoal is installed. So as we can see here, we have the version, the Zoal installed. So there is in the paths. So these are the two things that you need to have on your LPAR to install it to guarantee you can get started. It has some scripts that's written in rags or other action that may be written in rags, but I guess most of the environments will have this available. Okay, so just showing things that I have verified to be sure that I will be able to do this demo. So another example. So let's see other examples of the playbooks that we have been talking in action. So I'm gonna you through the Zoe Explorer. I'm using here to verify to access this LPAR. Uh, I can see here some of the data sets that starts with my user ID. So let's get started creating a data set. So here we are working with our dev host. So we are using the ZOS core, and this is the tasks to create that. So let's create the Z06601 GSE demo, a sequential data set. So let's run the Ansible playbook, create GSN. Fingers crossed, everything should work. So it creates a sequential data set if it does not exist. So Ansible, here we are doing this task by task to try, and this is why I said on that we need to understand what are the tools and for what should we use. For example, if I just want to create a data set for my for some activities I'm gonna do right now, I will be coming to Zoe Explorer, right click, create data set. But the thing here is when we start thinking and automating the thing. So uh, we start adding more actions. We have to do this same action in multiple parts. So this is where the infrastructure as a code mentality, where Ansible comes in. Okay, so another difference when we are executing this playbook. See that we have here this information changed and what's the host. So the data set was created. If I come here, GSE demo, and refresh my Zoe profile, I see here the new sequential. And if I run this again, I just submit that data set already exists. So this is where the state comes in. So it's gonna see that the data set already exists, and we are going to see the feedback here. So it was already okay. So no action was taken. We see here the status that nothing was changed. Everything was okay. So also there are these feedbacks when we are running the playbooks. Let's take another just to see this in place. I We were talking also about submitting job. So here I have the playbook to submit a job. Here I have submit your I have a copy sample from local. On the slides we had an example from a data set. But we also don't need to have this necessarily have this on the part. And let me think why that should be good. So imagine we are talking about several parts. We need to ensure that the right code is being used, the right JCL is being used. So here you can have this data set not necessarily being taken from one par, but from source code manager. You can take advantage, for example, of Git on that. So here we are submitting a job, where it's located. So in this case, it's here on my local machine. It's not gonna wait for that, and it's encoding, so it's just ensuring that as I'm moving this from my machine to the LPAR, it's being encoded to from ASCII to IBCDIC. So Ansible playbook submit job. Again, we are thinking here when we start to escalate that, having this actions being executed several times. While we check it, so let me open the Zoe Explorer, and our job was submitted. I will refresh here. We should have a new job here. Blah, blah, blah. I forgot to save what was the last one, but there you go. So the job has executed. We can verify here. If someone just would like to check the execution, just in demo. Okay. Let me verify one thing. Okay. Now we have here the demo and the demo 2. Both of the data set. So this job have created a copy. Continuing on that, on this line of having a common issue. Unfortunately, I don't have access to APF or anything on the system, but just to see that happening, the Ansible playbooks issue a command, and here it goes. So when I execute that, I don't have authority, but we will be able to see the feedbacks. So it will bring back that the command was issued, the T that I have just added here. I don't want to highlight that my user ID is trying to issue APF commands here, and the authority that I have is not enough to display the time. Okay, but we see the command being issued, and I have created here another folder, and this is just a hint, something that I think makes easier for maintenance when we start working with Ansible, when we start thinking in roles or even grouping in just small tasks like I have did here. So it's possible to have all these tasks just then and group them in a playbook when we are uh, calling that. So for example, I have here the deploy all YML, and here I just call the tasks I have created. So for example, I am going to create a DSN, submit the job, and issue invest comments. And I can see all of them in the tasks directory. So here they are. And if I need to update something, I just come here and update it, the task. I don't have the risk to do something wrong, some typo, and then I affect all the playbook. I can maintain that just focusing on what I'm going to update. So let me see the deploy OML, and let's try that. So for now it's just on dev. and then we can just I can put out for us to just see how Ansible works when we have multiple hosts or something like that. So it comes here to create the data set. So there we go. We created the sequential data set. We see that it was changed. We submitted the job, and we have here the included. What is the task that was included? What's the file for which host? And we're going to see the feedback soon. But as that what here we see again the MVS command, and then we see the exploitation of that, and again the lack of authority. If we, for example, want to have that for all the hosts, I can I can try again, and we're going to see that it tries to work with all the hosts here, but in this case the second one is there just as an example, so it doesn't really exist, and it gives me the error. But uh, when we have multiple hosts, it will try to pass through this, and we see then at the end all the stats for of that. And here I'm using just ZOS hosts. But let's think, for example, if you would like to have a host on AWS, on IBM Cloud, or on your private cloud. So you can just have, uh, since it's a cross-platform, you can integrate a lot of things. Thinking about some use cases, some examples, we have seen something here that's like a really simplistic way, but if we would be doing some activities to install a product or something like that, I have one example like this that I have created really on the beginning of the project, but I was doing using Ansible to upgrade my Zoe version. So it's on my GitHub, build data Ansible Zoe upgrade, and when we look there, there are several tasks here. So checking if a PTF was already applied or not. If that was applied, the task would just close the playbook, and that's fine. Otherwise, it will do the upload of the PTFs to my Alpar, would stop Zoe, and then execute the jobs for receive and apply. Thinking in another possibility as a really simple task that could be really useful. So, for example, when you have to check the permissions of your USS files across all your enterprise, or for example, like the previous customer I used to work, we had about 160 outpours there. And imagine during the time change, we need to ensure all the parm leaves were updated. We need to verify if of them were good. It's really just a simple task that you just go verify a member, verify a parameter. But when we start to escalate, having much more, the chances that something wrong will happen, you can forget something, they are there. So we can avoid that and have Ansible. Also, this link is also here on the manual. But when we look what is available, we see here that we have modules to work with HMC, with gigs, IMS, system automation, ZOS core. So on the ZOS core modules, we could be using for this. We could be using this line and file, all this to work with in this situation. You can check all the options that are available. Um, exploiting this advantage of being able to go in multiple and put together a hybrid environment, multiple platforms. So let's imagine you have to maintain, to manage your certificates, and they are kept in just one place for your Linux servers, for its US servers. And with just one tool, you were able to work with all these platforms. Take your certificate. There are, if you look on the Galaxy, if you look the modules available there, alright, some modules to work with certificates. You can uh, take advantage of that. So take the certificate, use Ansible to bring that to all your outpours, use the ZOS TSO command to issue the hackaf and add the certificates to your hackaf. Uh, Even you can just take whatever you have in place and just put in the on the playbooks, and then you're gonna be able to see this, to have this control that is easily managed, easily could be easily learned for who is new. Well, so these are some examples that we can think about it. If you want to verify, try this. You can do the same I did here, having your one Linux machine, getting a user ID on the Z Explorer and trying this there. Okay, so continuing here, um to close. So I already said about the Galaxy. So this is where you can find. It's like a marketplace where you can find the modules available. You can share new modules with the community. There is also AWX. Here I'm talking about AWX, but you could. This is the free version of Ansible Tower. So when we have the AWX, you can have a web interface added for this, so you can manage these playbooks from a web interface, have users to approve. You can schedule the playbooks to run, so it adds even more functionalities that could be really useful. So here are the links I was using here to talk about that. If you want, also if you want, all these links, they are on the slides, if you want to follow later on this presentation to be downloaded. Also I have here my GitHub is here, but you have, if you want to connect me on LinkedIn, you can search for Bill Pereira. Also Bill Pereira Z on Twitter, also on the YouTube. There on YouTube I have also other demos, even installing Ansible. So if you want to follow how to do that, there I was doing in Linux running on Z, but also in any Linux will be much the same. And I think that's it. I will let here also the link for you to evaluate the session, give me your feedback, and I really appreciate the feedbacks you have it, improve it, and to be with you. Who knows, the next GSE when it's presential. I hope so. And that's it, Joe. I
Thank you,
will
Bill.
give back to you.
Thank you. We got a few minutes. Has anyone got any questions? Feel free to fire them into the chat or unmute yourselves and ask away. But yeah, well done on the presentation, Bill. Great presentation, and always difficult to try and demo something under the spotlight. So well done, dude. Very well done.
Thanks all. And if you don't have any doubts now, and but happens to have in the future, just message me on LinkedIn and or even Twitter. And
Yep. Yeah, I think your
let's
contact details are on the slides there, right, Bill? So yeah, slides will be up on the website. So yeah, feel free to get in touch directly. So yeah, I'll call it a day there. Last session of the day coming up at 5 o'clock, JES 3 Plus IO improvements with Ed Jaff from Phoenix Software. That'll be the conclusion of the large system stream for this year's conference. Thanks for joining, and hopefully I'll see some of you then. Thanks again, Bill. Much appreciated.
Thanks all.
Cheerio.